Hey everyone, I'm Clint. This is The Joy of Paintball, and today I get to sit down with Archie Montemayor, Kid Arch of San Antonio X Factor. We talked a lot about Project PB, which is him and Ryan Brand's project. We talked a lot about Burning Man. We talked about all sorts of artwork, all sorts of mindfulness type stuff. It was a really great conversation. I learned a lot, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I hope you guys too. Thanks so much for tuning in, and yeah, this is The Joy of Paintball. I'm Clint Riddle. Much love.
Support for The Joy of Paintball comes from patrons like Reese Tigert, Edric Alvarez, and Christopher Hary. If you want to become a supporter of the podcast, you can go to Patreon. The link is in the bio. I've got multiple tiers that you can join, starting from the Hopper Topper, which is a $2 a month subscription, all the way up to a case of All-Star. There's some fun tiers in there, all paintball related. I also have just implemented a digital tip jar, which is in the link. So if the subscription-based model is not your thing, which I get, commitment issues, it's tough, guys, I understand. There is a one-time donation you can make through that. Yeah. Anyone and everyone who's willing to do this, I'm so incredibly grateful. Number one, for the support. Number two, that you listen. I guess in order, number one, that you listen. Number two, for the support. Both financially and emotionally. Thanks, guys. Y'all are the best. Love you. Bye.
All right, I'm Clint, by the way. I know we met at the Hormesis 1v1, but not like officially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I remember your name.
yeah, right on. Well, dude, thanks so much for doing this. I try to get creators on, especially like paintball creators. So we've got you not only playing with X Factor and Dynasty, and now back with X Factor, but you're also partner with Project Paintball. And I just kind of wanted to pick your brain about like what made you venture into the creator aspect, into the project aspect, and then maybe we'll touch on some DJ stuff also. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I am. I know I've been a little more quiet on my channels over the last couple of years,
It's all good.
and not really like a conscious thought. Just hasn't been something I'm as interested in anymore.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, as far as like becoming a creator, I mean, Project originally started. It was just an idea I had about wanting to have a unique gun.
Mm-hmm.
Before Project had come out, I had a couple of like custom milled Planet Eclipse guns, but at the
Those were
time they
dope.
didn't do right. They didn't do that,
Yeah.
so it was like those guns were super unique. They were literally one of one,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept thinking and I kept wanting, having a need or a want for a custom gun like that, but um, I was trying to figure out a way or an angle to maybe have it be, bigger than one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a feeling it would be a well received item, and then I kind of started going through the hoops of the clips to figure out what it would take to do it.
Yeah.
And at the time, this is obviously like there's a lot more people in that space nowadays, but
Mm-hmm.
at the time it wasn't bogged down at all, and it was also like considered a little bit of a risk because of minimum orders, and obviously you just don't know how it's going to be received.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, I did it. The first year was in 2020. It was I think the first drop was late in that year, and at the time I had like one version of I had like the prototype gun that I'd used at World Cup that year,
Yeah.
and nonetheless, I did the drop and we sold out within like, I don't know, an hour or something like that. And
Gosh.
yeah, it was a huge success. I mean, up until that point, I was just kind of guessing if it would work,
Yeah.
and it did. And so, kind of after that, it was like I kind of had like a new baby in a way because I didn't know what it would be yet, but like I was thinking about how it would develop and how I could develop it. And obviously, like I have a business partner, Ryan. I mean, he was a part of it in the early days too. And when I originally had the idea, he was at the time we were spending a lot of time in person because his company was actually renting space from a business that I ran.
Gotcha.
And so I was chatting with him all the time about it. But nonetheless, after that first initial drop, Ryan and I kind of started toying around with what the brand could look like and what it would look like going forward. And it's kind of been an ever evolving process. And it's been fun. It's been um, a fun experience to just get from ideas to like tangible items, and then also to like be able to chat with our customers and meet them in person and kind of have that experience as well. Like World Cup
Yeah.
is one of my favorite events now because of the booth that we've run the last few
Nice.
years, and so just it's a unique experience to be able to like have face to face like actual meaningful conversations with people that you see their names on the internet and you see their names coming through on your back end. But to have like meaningful conversations and like actually meet people face to face, it's been a fun kind of ride.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love how you put it. Like it's a baby that you don't know what it could be, but you know you're gonna invest in.
Right.
That's so cool, man.
Hmm.
You guys like everything y'all do. It seems like uh, you guys got the touch, man. Like especially with the markers. What when I look at y'all's custom milling, it reminds me a lot of the old SFT shockers and some of the NXT ones, but they was just like so unique, or the Timmies too. Like not so much like the what project guns look like, but just the
Hmm.
uniqueness of it, whereas
Right.
like Twister, like yeah, like that's cool what they do, but it's everything is the same. They are in their lane
Mm.
and that's all they're doing. You guys are
Right.
taking
Right.
risks and you guys are doing like some really cool stuff. What do
Yeah. I mean,
how do y'all get in the custom milling? Like where do y'all's ideas come from for those?
man, it's funny because that's also like an ever evolving process. I mean, oftentimes we're trying to. I mean, honestly, like I always joke around when I say this, but like I tell people I'm always working, because
Hmm.
like when you're self-employed, in a way, you kind of are. Like I'm walking down the street, and sometimes I have an idea pop into my head, or sometimes I see something that I like, and it's maybe a color palette, or maybe it's a piece of art or a sculpture or something, and you just never know when something might kind of like click the light bulb on in your head, and like that. And honestly, for me it happens quite a bit, but
Hmm.
like you know anything can inspire anything. And so that process for Ryan and I mean, obviously, like sometimes it's safer and it can be easier in a way to emulate something that was really cool in the past, and that's obviously an angle we've done before. But at the
Hmm.
same time, like we've had guns that we've done that were completely unique, and we kind of had to kind of fabricate on our own, and at least starts in your mind, and then
Yeah.
you start putting stuff down, and then you have your reiterations and your revisits and hashing things out. And again, like that process is like there's no tried and true way for how it gets done. It's just each one is kind of its own unique experience. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and they're fun, and also at the same time a little nerve wracking because again, the unknown, and I think in general, like a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, and but it's a fun process, and it's fun to get in there and then see what it ends up being.
Nice.
Um, yeah.
On a
So yeah, that's how it works for the milling stuff.
on a technical level, are you guys like in a 3D modeling thing? Or are you just like throwing sketches at someone or
Well, so we aren't physically doing the CAD work, the 3D modeling,
gotcha.
but
Okay.
typically the way it works is we'll have some ideas or like, some inspirations or maybe like even 2D sketches. Like that's actually how several of the guns have started in their original form was 2D
Nice.
sketches that I drew just on a piece of paper. And then,
Nice.
you get feedback, you go to the modeler and then they send you something and then you kind of go back and forth from, in an
Okay.
angle like that. Yeah.
Sick, man. Nice. And so, it started out with guns, with just the mill. Well, did y'all always do the ANO, or did you outsource it first?
No, no. Originally, well, so actually, the thing about most of the manufacturers, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I would love to do something with Field One at some point. I know we've kind of at one point we thought we definitely were, and right now we're kind of like we're figuring that out. Um, but most manufacturers, you do a custom gun, they're going to anode it for you.
Gotcha.
And Eclipse, like they won't even let you do custom anodes unless they're going to anode them either way. So like
Yeah.
you're going to buy them from them, and they're going to come factory with factory anode. So it's
Gotcha.
not like those guns would have to be anodized more than once to get a custom anode. But some of the
Gotcha.
other manufacturers have some different ways of doing it. So it's an option with some people, but definitely not with Eclipse. So the first several runs were just factory anodes from Eclipse, and then
Hmm.
actually it was just a couple years ago that we started doing in-house anodizing and kind of offering that as another kind of avenue of customization for our clients.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and that was also a learning experience, and still
I
is,
bet.
and it's a fun venture at the same
Yeah.
time.
There's a lot of
But yeah,
chemical
that's
work
been
in
a
that.
night.
That's,
Yeah, it's been a nice,
yeah.
unique offering that we can essentially sell a gun and also in-house do the anno. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, it's just a cool a cool thing that we also do a little bit of as well. And again, the main thing is just another layer of customization to it that we can kind of have our hands in.
Right on. Yeah. You got, I mean, gosh, y'all customize a lot of things. So, yeah, I mean, y'all had the hopper, the rotor. It was a rotor, right? No, I'm sorry.
No, we did a
The
control the
control.
control too.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. The control.
So
You
yeah,
got
yeah.
that. You
I
got
mean, at this point, we worked with most of the manufacturers at this point,
yeah.
most of the major ones, right? I think obviously we haven't done anything with Field One or Die, but we've talked to both, and we've had like some kind of things in the plans. But timing is really important, and also just like I mean, timing is big. Obviously, the products are really important too, and then just just being mindful. Like any any custom project is there's a lot of things that go into it, and so you just have to be mindful of all things, the market, the
Hmm.
economy, timing around other releases, and sometimes those aren't even your releases, so other competitors, you know things
Gotcha.
that are being
Yeah.
dropped, so like all those things are factored into anytime we do stuff. So but yeah, I mean, it's been a fun like learning experience, and you don't it's also humbling in a way to realize like how many things affect what goes into you know like let's just say the reception of your product.
Yeah.
um,
Right on. Well, dude, I like. Sorry, you mentioned earlier talking about like sort of always working or having your like creative mind like ready to receive at all times,
hmm
which I
that's a
totally
good way
I
to say it.
get. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. hmm
That's I think anyone who's making stuff customized like you, or I mean art really is what I'm going to call it. You guys are making art and you're constantly thinking about that type of stuff. Where does your creativity not were you always this way? I guess I should ask. Like thinking that way?
Oh man, that's hard to say. So like I would say no. I would say maybe as a young adult I started to understand things that or like ways of being that would benefit me over the long term. Like what when I say ways of being, I what I like over if I were to like call it a blanket term, I would say like mindfulness practice, right? Because like
Gotcha. Yeah.
there's this other layer of like when I say like I'm always working, right? Well, like I don't. There's other things that are involved with that too. Like that's also being mindful. That's also making sure my battery is full, as full as it can be. It's making sure I'm well nourished, right? And that means like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually,
Hmm.
nourished. And there's a large combination of factors that go into um, what I would define as like me being optimal, right? And so like when I feel like I'm optimal, I feel like I'm able to receive the codes that are out there for me to see, for me to uniquely see, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's really important, right? And I would still say that about even just the way in which I play paintball. Like all of the things that I do in my life add up. The sum of that is how I show up. The sum of the sum of all those things is how I show up on the paintball field, or in my creative spirit, or in my day-to-day relations, my relationship with my wife or my friends or my team.
Hmm.
And so these the sum of all those things is important, and at the same time all of those little things are important individually too, because they add up.
Yeah.
um, so that's like how kind of how I uh, think about my day-to-day processes, or my week-to-week processes, or my even if I go just a little bit more macro, like even my month-to-month or my seasonal kind of things that I'm working on or doing or being aware of, right?
Yeah.
um, and so that's I guess that's how I would answer that question. But there's a lot of things that go into it, or at least for me, that I would say are contributing factors.
Gotcha. That's great, man. So, uh, when did maybe let's jump into some of these questions.
Hmm.
Like my first one, I like to ask everyone is like, what's a piece of art that stopped you in your tracks? It doesn't have to be the first one, and it could
Yeah,
be,
yeah,
you know, I really whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be, I went to this great museum and saw something. It can be,
yeah,
but like it could be
yeah,
something from Burning. I'm going to say it wrong. Burning Man.
yeah. Burning Man. Yeah,
It
yeah.
could be something from that or
Honestly,
from whatever,
yeah, yeah. I
or
have a
some
piece of
music
art
too.
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, that's I might answer this in a few ways, because this piece of art was pretty magnificent.
Okay.
Um, so it was almost a year ago. I was at Burning Man last year, and I was riding my bike out in the desert, and I stumbled across this platform. And at first, I didn't quite know what it was, but I could see it from a ways away, and nobody was near it.
Hmm.
And it caught my eye, and it was aesthetically very pleasing. And it was, upon closer inspection, it was actually a swing, and it was a platform swing. So, like, it's got like four corners, and there's a platform here, and it swings like this. So you stand on it,
Oh
and it's a
man.
swing,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
So at first, uh, honestly, it was I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy this piece of art, but it caught my eye, and I rode up to it, and then I realized it was a swing. So of course, naturally, I got on it and I
Yeah.
started swinging, right? And aesthetically, it was like it was beautiful. It was like metal, and it was painted surfaces, and I started swinging it, and I noticed after I started really getting into the swing that the it was also an instrument. So the swing
Oh.
also engaged a set of chimes above the swing. So as you swung faster, you were engaging more and more chimes, and it was quite a beautiful experience. And so then I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing swing, and I honestly I could just feel the energy flowing through me
Yeah.
when I was on this swing. And um, and then I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I'm like, man, what a magnificent piece of art, because it's not just visually aesthetically pleasing, but it's also has a function, right? And then
Hmm.
also the next layer of that, it also has to be designed in a way that's safe, because I'm swinging this thing, and I mean I'm getting almost horizontal with the ground.
Yeah.
So that means that there also has to be some structural integrity to be able to hold me and maybe somebody a lot bigger than me
Yeah.
swinging on this
One would
thing.
hope so, at
So
least.
there's
Yeah.
like several layers into this one piece of art, and I just had such a joyous time. It's interactive, it's beautiful, it's an instrument, and
Hmm.
there's a layer of structural integrity in it as well. And I mean, the more and more I thought about this piece of art, I was just like, holy moly, what an incredible piece. I mean, I still think about that piece of art to this day, on a, I don't know, somewhat regular occurrence,
Yeah.
and nonetheless, I'm still blown away. And I don't know who made that, and I don't know if I ever will. I mean, I may or may not be able to like research on the internet and maybe find him, but it was just an amazing. It was an amazing piece for me, and I rode out to that swing a few times that week, and it was just yeah, it was a really euphoric experience for me every time.
That's amazing. I love that. Like,
Yeah,
that's the most like descriptive answer to that. You really like I was there, man. I
I
was
thought
like
about it.
experiencing it. Yeah, like that's super cool. I love interactive like kinetic art, and this sounds like they did it.
Right.
I hear so
Yeah, it was
much
it was really
about the
awesome.
yeah. I who else was talking about it? Andy Horvath. I
Mm.
think he talked about a piece at Burning Man or something. But
Oh, I
like
didn't know he was a burner.
I don't know. I might it might be the wrong festival, but I think he's a festival
Mm,
dude. But I'm
right.
talk to him
Right,
about
that's fair. Well, it's
it.
Yeah, Burning Man's like it's just super specific
Yeah.
and unique in the sense that like uh it's unlike any other festival in the sense that like the commitment it takes to show up is just so magnificent. It's just gargantuan, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
It's
what makes it like super unique. You know, you really do like you're kind of in a way completely off grid for a week,
mhm.
and not just a week because you have to get there and get back, and then also um, all of the things you have to do in order to just be there and be somewhat comfortable. It's just there's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you're there and it's of like a serious magnitude, we're talking somewhere between 60 and 80,000 people each year, but
Gosh.
like you realize how many other people from all over the world went through the same level of thought to
Yeah.
be there. It really it's a seriously kind of like elevated
It
experience. Is just really unique to itself, you
yeah.
know.
And it seems I don't know how to say it because like there's zero footprint, right? Like everyone picks up all their stuff and whenever y'all
Right.
load out. So that
Yeah,
aspect,
correct.
like everyone's there, it seems very like communal and like, hey, we're all here, like we all put in this effort to be here. Let's make sure
Hmm.
we're all having a good time. It seems like,
Right, for sure. Yeah,
you
there's
know,
principles, and they're each really kind of important in their own way, and they're all well thought out. I mean, it's just yeah, it's a super it's a humbling and enlightening experience. I just really can't say enough about it.
nice. Nice. Right on, man. Well, did you have any other pieces that stood out? I don't know how you topped that one. That was a great
Ah, man, dude,
piece.
yeah, I hope it happens, but
Yeah.
it's really just it, and again, like I don't want to say perfection is achievable, but like to me, when I think about like how well that thing was put together, that piece of art, like it was finished, it was
Hmm.
done, and like I can only imagine the amount of thought and effort and intent went into that, and so like at some point you do that and you do that and you do that and you do that, and then you have a product, a finished thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm blown away by the art every single year, like that one's definitely one of the most special pieces of anything I've
Was
ever looked
that
at, to be honest. But
was that your first Burning Man that you experienced that?
no, it was last
Okay.
year, so that was my third. Yeah, that was
Okay.
my third one.
Okay.
But there was another one that I thought was really fascinating last year. It was called oh man, of course I'm drawing a blank on it, but basically it was a shipwreck. It was like an entire shipwreck. So there's literally half a hull of a ship sticking out of the ground,
Oh wow.
and there was a big metal dragon that was like 20, 25 feet tall, and like the there was a lookout point also like stuck out of the ground, like from like kind of at an
Mhm.
angle, like that the boat was essentially halfway in the desert, but like if it was the ocean, and there were little kind of Easter eggs around this whole spot. I
Nice.
mean, you could spend hours at this one piece. It was really massive, and it was a big time project.
Nice.
And even when you got into the boat, like it was slanted, so like you're kind of having to like walk and support yourself just to be able to maneuver through this thing. That was obviously just from the amount you could tell how many people likely were involved for a project that size. It was
Yeah.
also really cool, and then also to think about how the hell did it get there? Because like I mean, just half the boat
That's
was like it's a serious endeavor.
yeah.
And then you start to wonder, well, like, why would you do this? Because like think about the effort involved, and then like, why? And the reason is because you can, because you
Yeah.
want to.
Create an
Is
experience.
it's
Yeah.
exactly so.
I
You
think
know,
that's the most intriguing part about it for me. It's like these people are like uh, some gosh, I can't think of the word. Sacrificing their time,
hmm
money, and skills to do this,
right.
and they don't like charge admission to go experience the art, do they?
No, no, you just
Yeah.
you
So
and
like,
even yeah, I mean, there's a ticket to get to the festival, but that's not related to any of the
yeah.
artists. So
So
like
it's
the art is
just
free.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing it just to share it with the world or with the
Hmm.
festival. That's
Right,
beautiful, man.
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really unique. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But that was another one. I think it was called
Yeah.
Naga. Yeah, Naga.
Okay.
I think they were
Okay.
based out of the Bay Area now because I read up about them after the when I got back.
Sweet.
But yeah, another
Get any
piece, another
photos of
grand
them?
piece, really. I actually don't think I have photos of either of those. I mean, there's photos
Oh.
on the internet. You can look at them up. The swing. I have no idea what it's called, or I'm now that I'm talking about it more, I'm gonna try to find out if I can.
Okay.
But Naga, that is if you just like type in Naga Burning Man 2024, you'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Sweet,
sure, it was
man.
a big piece.
All right. To piggyback off of that, who's an artist that we need to know about? Or did you have any other art pieces before I move on? Sorry.
Oh, no. I
Okay.
think I spoke on a pretty good length on those
Yeah.
two. Let's see here, an artist. Well, when I think of like an artist, right? I think of similar to how I was speaking earlier about like y- all of the things that, in summation, add up to how I'm going to show up. Like that's how I look at an artist, and so like for me, like an artist I really can appreciate based off of the work he does in his art, but also the work I'm aware enough about that he does outside of his art. I would say like Alex Gray.
Alex Gray.
He's
Okay.
an artist that, yeah, right. I'm sure you probably know he's pretty famous.
Hang on. There's
He's
it's in my head. I'm trying to remember. Alex Gray. What does he do? Is he
he
not
does
the photographer?
psychedelic art. No.
Oh,
He
okay.
did,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
big
Sorry.
time art,
Okay.
humongous artist, right? And
So like,
but
yeah, his stuff's great.
he'll yeah, he'll have depictions of, let's just say ethereal visions, or angels, or he does all kinds of mediums of art, sculptures, paintings, even blankets,
Oh wow.
all kinds of different mediums. And he's just he's an incredible artist. And again, like to me, I can only imagine all of the experiences he's had to
Hmm.
sum up to the quality of things he
Yeah,
puts out.
his stuff's great.
And
Yeah, I
so, yeah, it's really, really wonderful. Yeah.
yeah,
Makes you think.
really for sure. Like I like that it's based on his experiences, or he's pulling from his experiences to create this
Well,
stuff.
for sure, that is definitely part of what he's doing. So,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But,
that's a
but
great
it's
one.
more than just that, though. You still have to train and understand how to put these things down. And,
Yeah, he's
again,
super technically sound. Yeah.
right, exactly. So, yeah, it's just, to me, he's quite an artist.
That's a good one, man. I love this because I've heard of him. I've seen his stuff, and it just like I hadn't heard of him in a while. So I love when all these artists
Hmm.
sort of get brought back up in my mind or
Honestly, I'm
in
sure
this.
for you as an artist to ask that question, I'm sure it's quite rewarding just to,
Yeah, dude.
see who you stumble across, right? I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, thankfully we live in such an amazing time for art in general. Um,
Yeah.
there's another artist that comes to mind for me. I think his name is also Alex. I think it starts with Alex B, but he's a glass artist that I found on Instagram several years ago.
Okay.
And honestly, if I'm ever just bored and he comes over my feed, I'll just kind of deep dive into see what he's been working on lately. And it's fascinating because his both of his parents were also glass artists, so he
Okay.
literally grew up around it.
Oh
And at the
man.
same time, like he has come up with his own ways to do things in the glass art space that haven't ever been done before, some of which were by accident, right?
Yeah.
Which is also just, funny because, you don't ever think of like discovering something by accident, but, or maybe you do, but like it's not that common. You might usually have
Yeah.
like some sort of intent or direction, but to come up with something completely by accident,
Yeah.
which is really
Especially.
cool. But he's another artist I'm really into.
Mhm. Yeah, I think about glass blowing and like accidentally coming up with something. It's like that's an expensive
Mm.
accident, and like you gotta.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Exactly. Well,
um,
what's funny is the story. So he figured out a way how to. He does like glass sculptures, and
mhm.
he figured out a way to imprint metal into the glass. So like part of
Hmm.
the sculpture will literally have like a metal side of it that's like fused to the glass, and the rest might
Whoa.
just be glass, and it'll be colored and sculpted and like shaved and polished in certain areas or matte in certain areas. But the reason he figured this out was because he was grinding some metal, and he was happened to be doing it around a sculpture of his dad's, and
Oh no.
he realized he had stuck some metal in his dad's sculpture. So he's
Oh no.
apologizing, but then there was some inspiration to attempt to do this on purpose.
That's
And
cool,
anyways,
man. You love those
yeah,
stories. That's like, you
yeah,
gotta
it's
love
just super
that.
unique and interesting, and now he's pretty well known for doing stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
again, it's a silly accident, and who knows if his dad was pissed or not, but.
It worked out for him. Sounds like.
Hmm.
Right on. Dude, so I can't help but like in this conversation, it sounds like, and I hope this comes across the right way. It sounds like you do a lot of like self uh work. So like you're so well spoken, and it seems like you've thought about like just sort of life a lot. With, have you always been that way, or does it, where does that come from?
I would say that I've thought about life a lot for a long time.
Hmm.
I I learned to do this in the pursuit of trying to be better at paintball. Honestly,
Oh, okay.
it wasn't until I was like really trying to be mindful about how good I could be at paintball that I realized just being mindful is a good idea,
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
just for paintball. And
yeah.
so you kind of get started down a little, rabbit hole or a wormhole sometimes,
Hmm.
and you start seeing how those things kind of show up for you, and you take what's good, you discard what's useless or not good, and you keep reevaluating. And it's funny because I started this so long ago, but like last I guess the last 7-ish years, I've been on a much deeper dive and a much more meaningful practice of this.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think it's what you're saying is true, and um, it's been one of the most nourishing kind of journeys of my life for sure.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm just curious. All right. Let's see. I guess on that note, what is the best, or not best? What is a piece of advice that someone's given you that, like, kind of you take with you everywhere that stands out to you?
Um, you know, at the present moment, one that's really landing for me is to love your neighbor. Um, and I think, in theory, that sounds nice and it sounds sweet. I think in practice, it can be a little more difficult, but um, but I really believe it to be virtuous. I think it's like, I heard this really interesting quote, and I would say I'm spiritual, but maybe not religious. And the quote
Hmm.
is really a religious quote, but it's if even if you're spiritual or if you believe in, a God, I think it can really land. But it's you only love God as much as you love the person you love the least.
Hmm.
And when I think about that, like we're all here, right? And
Hmm.
if like I understand how grateful I am for my experience, and there's obviously things and or beings around that they might get to you or they might bother you or they might do things that you don't like or whatever, right? But the reality is if you take away something from a higher source and you're here and they're here, like like for lack of a better phrase, they're also a children of God, and so
Hmm.
how could I not, like, that's love them,
Yeah.
and also in a way, like, what, even if you don't subscribe to like an ideology like that, in a way, what's what's a better practice than loving other people?
Hmm.
Name one. I I'd be hard pressed,
Yeah.
and so in general, I think it's really sound and solid advice.
Yeah. It's simple, and I tell my students all the time, simple's not always easy. Like,
Right,
Uh,
exactly right. And also, you know, and it's sometimes it can be hard for people to understand how loving something that you might not like, in a way, it's a form of loving yourself too, you know?
hmm,
And yeah, I mean, that's one of the, you know, I guess to me, that's what compassion is. It's like being able to understand and
yeah,
not judge and still love in spite, you know, like unconditional.
yeah,
So, yeah, for me at the present moment, that one seems to be ringing a nice little bell for me.
yeah. I think for several folks, that's always a good one. Great, man. I love that. All right, dude. Gosh, I wasn't ready for that. Thanks, man. That's a good one.
You're welcome.
Uh, no, that's cool. All right. So let's see. We've talked about like paintball gear with Project. We've talked about
Hmm.
art
Hmm.
and the incredible experience at Burning Man. Let's see. What about like if you want, we could talk a little bit more just about like paintball in general. I don't know that we've talked about you playing except for just sort of like the mindfulness aspect of that. You said seven
Yeah.
years ago. What happened 7 years ago that like kind of triggered the mindfulness?
Good question. I I got down a path of substances. You know, I mean,
Mm,
mind altering psychedelic substances, and you know, I think what's a unique context to how I relate to my experiences now is that for a long time I was mostly sober. You know,
mm,
like up until about that time, mostly sober and not like completely, but like I didn't really drink. Still never really have, and I
mm,
definitely didn't do substances back then. And so as a result of that, I think throughout my young adult years, I was um, developing who I was in a way, and I
mm.
really understood that by the time I got into these substances. So I felt like it laid a good groundwork for me. And,
Okay.
you know, in a way, I felt like I'd processed a lot of the things that my inner workings and my understanding of who I am and who I want to be, and, you know, the things that I want to do, right?
Gotcha.
And so, like, I just feel like in general, that was a really good, solid foundation. And not to say that you need that, because I don't necessarily believe that, but I will say that for me personally, I'm happy to have had that.
Gotcha.
Um, and so it just gave me a lot more context and a lot more gnosis of who, you know, again, like I said, who I am. And
Okay.
anyways, yeah, I got into some psychedelic substances, and they, I mean, for they really have just completely um, opened my mind in such a way that, you know, like I've had some really hard to explain experiences. I've had some really challenging experiences. I've had some really beautiful experiences, and um, all of those have really been integral factors in me developing over the last several years, more, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been a unique journey, um, and I'm still on it. You know, I'm still looking forward to things that I haven't seen or experienced before, and also being mindful about the things that I'm continuing to be um, experiencing or diving into and trying to understand more. You know, all these things. But the thing about it is, it's really humbling work because you 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 don't realize how much you don't know. You know,
Gotcha.
like, and
Yeah.
that's in, you know, I mean, it's like in the quest for knowledge, you know, it's certainly like in a competitive sport, right? Like you start to get good, and like you, let's just say you get real good, and then you kind of have this ego about it where like you know how good you are, but at the
Hmm.
same time, like that ego can also hold you back in a lot of ways. And I would argue like that's what holds most people back, is they think they no longer have anything to learn, right? And the
Yeah.
easiest way for me to say it is just on the paintball field. Like, you know, people. don't like, they're not students, or like, instead of like looking at somebody that, you know, like Ryan Greenspan, for instance, you know, like you could look
Mhm.
at him for 2 decades and you could take so much, but there's probably, actually, I'm certain of this, but there's people out there that are competing against Ryan that probably don't give him his credit, because in their eyes they're as good or better or whatever, right? But
Hmm.
the reality is there's so much to learn right there. And that's just one
Yeah.
person, you know? And so like our egos can really block us from so much, and that's where like, you know, what I would say like the psychedelic journeys are, it's literally ego work, you know, and sometimes
Hmm.
it's super blissful and sometimes it is not. And
Hmm.
but to be able to like show up and pay attention and take what's valuable out of those, you know, it's really important, or I think it is. And and yeah, I mean, it's been super meaningful for me. It's really given me a breadth of experience and a breadth of ideas, and yeah, it's just got me down this really beautiful path. And yeah, just looking forward to continuing kind of that sort of a new pursuit now, but a pursuit nonetheless.
Wow. Did not see you go in that direction. That was that's great, man. Full of surprises. Um,
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. Okay. Um, all right. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you making the time for this. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
uh, I got one more question for you.
Hmm.
What is the joy of paintball?
Ah, yes, that's a good question, man. So for me, and I'm sure the joy of paintball is different for everybody, but like for me, I think paintball got me started on likely the most important journey of my life, which is really like a conversation with yourself, right?
Hmm.
And for me, like that means how, like, how am I showing up? Am I being honest with myself, right? Like I'm out here playing, and like we all want to be good, right? But like what does that take? Like there's a work ethic, there's, you know, a
Hmm.
physical aspect, there's a mental aspect, right? Understanding, right? Um, there's you know, like intentional work, like how efficient are you as well? Like, am I just going to the paintball field and wasting my time? Am I just going and just showing up? And at the end of the day, am I any better? You know, like it's just, for me, it's like a wonderful mirror, because it like it just doesn't lie, you know. And
Yeah.
you can lie, but paintball doesn't lie, you know. Like,
Hmm.
did you get shot? Like, did you shoot more people than you shot? Right? Well, yes or no, and why, right?
Yeah.
And if you're honest with yourself and you spend some time thinking about it, you'll find out some answers. And what you want to do with those answers, that's your prerogative and your choice, obviously. But for me, you know, like paintball was the mirror, and it showed me, when I was really honest with myself, it showed me who I was. And that means in every aspect, right? Like, how do I work? How do I show up? Am I a good teammate? Um, you know, do I make excuses? You know, do I get frustrated, right? All these
Hmm.
things. And again, like I can choose to take on any of those things if I want to, right? But
Yeah.
it's a great conversation to start, right? And all those things are really valuable lessons, and it's not just in paintball. You know, those are all
Hmm.
valuable things to think about in your entire life, you know. And so, you know, I forget, I think it was Alex Fragi who told me this. I remember hearing him say this, but he goes, you learn a lot about somebody by watching them play paintball.
Huh.
And dude, it's so true. Like it really is. You know, you see the guys that really have kind of been thinking about things a lot, and maybe the guys that should, you know, or
Yeah.
you see the guys that are little head cases, and you know the guys that aren't, you know. So you really do learn. You can
Yeah.
learn a lot just by watching somebody play paintball.
That's, like when you say that, at first I was like, huh, I wonder how. And then it's like, oh, yeah,
Mm.
like you can tell
It's
people
just a
who,
microcosm of everything, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this
So
weird quasi survival mode that you're like reacting
exactly.
to everything. And wow.
Yeah. And how well do you, respond to
Hmm.
whatever it is? It's not just the guy shooting at you, but what
Dude.
something here in your life on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually probably my favorite. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's hard for me to think of a better paintball quote, but I will say that
That's,
that one for me rings really solid, and also like I'm such a huge um, fan and friend of Alex's, so it
mhm.
doesn't hurt that it came from him,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
That,
it's a genius thing.
that's gonna mess with me. Like, I'm gonna be, next time I'm playing, I'm gonna be like watching other people and be like, oh, he's going through some
Yeah.
stuff, or like,
Yeah,
like
maybe.
that's it.
Or maybe he handles it well, and that's how
Yeah,
he handles
like,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna follow that guy. No, right on, dude. This has been great. I'm just like picturing now, like you guys sitting at the project office, and like, do you guys just have these conversations all day? Like,
Oh man, you know, what's the saying, or what can I say about that? Like as much fun as that sounds, and don't get me wrong, we do have some interesting conversations, but like, the dishes still got to get cleaned in a way,
yeah, yeah,
like we still got to
yeah,
get some shit done.
yeah.
You can be up in the space forever, and don't get me wrong, surely I've wasted enough time up there, but you still got to kind of be here now and be present and take care of the things that you need to take care of now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great. Well, I mean, this has been, I mean, enlightening, I guess would be a great word for it. This has been really cool. Thank you, man. Uh,
Yeah.
any like project shout outs you want to give, or this will come out in
Um,
probably a couple weeks. So,
Yeah, sweet. I mean, yeah, we're kind of always working on stuff. I know Ryan and I've been we haven't released a lot of stuff more recently. We're just finishing up a R5 release
nice.
that we had in the last month or so. But we are working on some new stuff and figuring out what it looks like if we're going to be at Cup this year. Um, and yeah, kind of just enjoying summer right now.
Right on.
It's a season for it, and yeah, kind of looking forward to the next tournament in Dallas, and then World Cup
Yeah.
coming up sooner than you think. It always tends to creep up on you, but
Yeah,
but
for
um,
sure.
but yeah, no, I had a great time. I thought I actually really liked the questions you were asking, and
Oh,
yeah,
thanks,
I don't
man.
know, I just felt really good about the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, are you guys gonna have a booth at Texas?
We don't know. Typically, we only do World Cup.
Okay.
It takes a lot. There's a lot that goes into planning a booth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so just logistically, it's quite a bit. But you never know. We might have some stuff at the X Factor booth, maybe,
Sweet.
especially being it in the state, so it might be a little more feasible. But yeah, other than that, I'm hoping we'll have one at World Cup and be able to see a bunch of people again.
Nice. Right on. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for this. Yeah, everyone go check out Project Paintball. You can go to Instagram. You can go to their website. Is it just projectpaintball.com?
Yeah, it's PRG sorry PRJCT paintball.com. Yeah, so
Okay,
no
cool.
vowels in project, right? No
Yeah,
O, no E.
gotcha.
And then
Gotcha.
you can find our Instagram as well.
Hmm.
If you look for it, it's easy to find. And then
Yeah.
yeah,
And then Kid Art on Instagram. I'll throw it all in the
kid underscore Archie. I appreciate that.
yeah. Yeah, man. Well, we didn't talk about music at all. Are you still DJing, or is that like, are we at hobby
Yeah, I
level,
am.
or like what do we?
I would say a glorified hobby level for sure, but like I've done parties. I've gotten paid to do it
Nice.
many times at this point, but it's still like an art. It's still just an art for me. Like I don't. Yeah, I'm still developing it in a way. It's still very fun and like hobby like. It's still I still look at it as like almost like an infant with just the eyes kind of wide open still. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying, I'm not like trying to speed that up either because I'm just
Yeah.
really enjoying it so much. Um,
That's good.
so yeah,
I like that. All right, man. Well, Again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate everything you're doing for the sport, you're doing for the creative community, and just your time on this podcast. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to contribute in any way, you can go to my support tab, my support link in my bio, and there's multiple ways to do that. I do have a Patreon with multiple tiers and some pretty fun tiers. I personally enjoy the Marbleizer tier. Each one comes with different benefits. I've got, they're all different paint boxes, cases of paint. So I've got All-Star Premium Gold for those of you old heads that might remember that. And Marbleizer White Box. And I got a new one, Hopper Topper. So they're all different levels, ranging from $2 with the Hopper Topper to $50 with All-Star, and different perks with each one. But yeah, this is the joy of paintball. Love you guys.